I'm a professional.
I'm going to dive into rejection. So I want to invite you to get in touch with one of those rejections in your life. We're going to come back to it, so just be with that part of your experience, all right? I won't leave you hanging. Wipe that frown off your face. You're acting like such a crybaby. I'll give you something to cry about. Dude, you're being such a pussy. Oh my God, you're acting like such a girl right now. What a sissy. These and countless messages like these are what I grew up with as a little boy. And because I valued connection, it had me reject a really important part of myself. And that part of myself was my sensitivity, my empathy, and my emotions. Because I wanted you to like me. I wanted my parents to not be mad at me. I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to get bullied. I didn't want to get picked on. I didn't want to get beat up on the playground. Dr. Gabor Mate, who lives right here in Vancouver, taught me that human beings have two fundamental needs: the need to attach and the need to self-express authentically. And in an optimal human environment, a young person gets to do both. We get to feel like we have a sense of belonging and kinship, and we get to be free to be who we are. But what happens in most normal environments is some young kids get the message that a part of them is not welcome. It's not okay. And so because they value the attachment part and the connection part more than their self-expression, if they had to choose, they trim off the self-expression part and they abandon part of themselves for love and for connection. I call this the core human split. And it happens to every single person, including you, at whatever age. And it's really common even in adults. So look at everybody's Facebook walls, and you'll notice that people prefer to present part of themselves that won't get, or is less likely to get, rejected. Right? So you'll post part of the story, but you won't bring your full neurosis to the table because you might get judged, criticized, and ultimately abandoned. Right? And look at the last time you went for a job interview. You might have also kept a part of yourself at bay because you wanted the job. Or check out the last time you were dating someone. You might not have brought your full self on that first date, right? Or even the second or third date, or even the first 6 months, because you really, really liked this person and you didn't want to be rejected. You wanted to get asked out again. So as a little boy, this hurt. These messages hurt, and with every rejection, I just put up a plate of armor in order to protect myself from getting hurt again. And I had a lot of armor, and it continued to build. And as I liked girls, I quickly learned that girls didn't like me back. I felt rejected, just my whole person felt rejected. It wasn't just a part of me. And when that happened, I got hurt and put up another plate of armor. And this went on for 10 straight years, seriously. 10 years, every single girl I liked didn't like me back. And this reached a head when, at 18, I lost my virginity. And it's with a woman we met at a party, and we'd both been drinking. We went to my parents' place, and we went downstairs in the basement where I lived, and we got it on. And it was a little awkward and funky because, you know, this was my first time. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I had no guidance. And I didn't ask anybody for guidance. And I woke up the next morning, and she was gone. Poof. She ghosted on me. I'd never met her before, and I never saw her again. My first thought was, What did I do wrong? And then the first feeling was shame. Because remember, I'm sensitive, emotional, and empathic. I'm actually feeling behind this fortress. And I was really rejected. I felt really rejected, and I felt really hurt. And I had nowhere to go with that because, remember, I had stuffed that part of myself. So I did what I always did, which is I just put up another plate of armor. And later that day, I lied to my guy friends and said it was great. And then that night, I went out drinking. So at this point, I was in a lot of pain. And so much so that I reached out to one of my closest friends and asked for help. I said, bro, you're really good with girls. Like, what do I do? How do I get girls to like me? What's your secret? And he said, dude, it's easy. Act like you don't care. I was like, okay. I was willing to try anything. So I tried it. And guess what? It worked. Sad but true. And never again did I have a problem with girls rejecting me. But I had a new problem. Any guesses on what that new problem was? I had a lot of armor in front of my heart. And I'd become an emotionally unavailable guy. And had you and I been in a relationship, it would have gone down like this. It was all sexy for the first month or two, and then about month 2, 3, 4, you would have been started, you felt that there was stuff going on inside, right? And you would have started poking around at that armor. And you would have started asking me questions like, you okay? What are you feeling? Can we talk? What's wrong? All of which, for me, I perceived as a threat. So I pushed you away. I came over here and I got space and I felt better. And I was back with you again and I felt bad. So I convinced myself that the reason I was feeling bad was because of you. So I rejected you and went on to the next woman. I always had a woman waiting in the wings, lined up, ready to go, ready to date me if this didn't work out, which invariably it didn't. So we would start dating, and we'd get sexy, and everything was great, and then 2, 3, 4 months in, she'd start poking around again. And I was like, pushing that away, right? So I rejected her, and moved on to the next person. So this is the dance I did. We could try all that together later. That went on for 10 straight years. Until age 29, I'm breaking up with yet another good woman. We met on neutral ground at the Whole Foods parking lot. I hop into her silver Subaru, and I'm in the passenger seat, she's in the driver's seat, very fitting. And I shut the door, and it was as if I trapped myself in the door because I had psyched myself up all morning. I was like, dude, you're not going to leave this conversation until this relationship is over. Because I'd been trying and failing to break up with her for a while. In fact, I tried for months to get her to break up with me so that I didn't have to be the bad guy. Because I was just too much of a coward to look her in the eyes and say, we're done. Because remember, I did care what she thought. I didn't want to hurt her feelings because I was sensitive, emotional, empathic behind my fortress that she was trying to get at. So I'm in the car, and I'm really tense, and I'm freaking out, and I feel really insecure and totally jammed up. I don't know what to say, but it's feeling very familiar. Here I am again. In this awkward conversation that I don't want to be in, I just want to be on the other side of it. I'm feeling extremely tense, and I just want to run out of the car. This, by the way, is a sign you might be having a breakthrough soon. So I'm in there, totally great. And I finally fumble my way through the words and I get it out, that the relationship is over. Naturally, her first question was, why? Why? You know, she knew it was coming, kind of, but she still asked the obvious question, why? My very first response that I thought in my head that I didn't say was, because of you. Because that's how it felt to me. But instead, I said something that I often said, which was a cop-out, and just to soften the blow, I said, no, it's not you, it's me. But I had no actual personal responsibility to back that up with. I just said it because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, which then made me feel uncomfortable. So really, I was just trying to protect myself. So But this time, in this moment, I said it and something clicked. I said, it's not you, it's me. And I said it quietly to myself. I think it is me. There's something I'm doing. Wait a minute. I said, I just scanned quickly through all the relationships I'd had before this one that ended just like this one. I was like, hold on a second. I'm the one common denominator here in all these failed relationships. And all of a sudden, crack went the armor. And a little metaphorical shaft of light came through, and I started to see. And here's what I saw, that if it was true that I was the one common denominator in all these failed relationships, then I could do something about that. And all of a sudden, this huge wave of energy came into me, and I all of a sudden felt alive for the first time in years. I was like, oh my God. And out loud, I just said, I think I have a problem. And she looked at me and said, yeah, I think you do. To which I said, yeah, it's like a commitment issue or a relationship issue of some kind. She said, yeah, I think you need to go to counseling. And without a defensive bone in my body, I said, I agree. That's a really good idea. 5 minutes before, I would have defended myself. All of a sudden, I was open and curious to feedback. I was like, what? And so we ended the conversation. We broke up. We hugged. It was respectful. I get out of her car. I get into my car. I get in the driver's seat, and I grab the steering wheel, and I drive away feeling invigorated. Usually, I felt like shit after this, and ashamed, but also relieved. Today, on this day, I felt really invigorated, because it was the first time in my life I'd taken responsibility for my relationship problems. And from that day forward, I committed to learning everything I possibly could about myself and relationships. And some incredible things happened to me as a result of taking responsibility that day, which I'll share with you in a second. But first, I want to check in with you all, just for a moment, coming back to your rejection piece. I want you to go to a moment. Everybody in here, guaranteed, has had a relationship challenge, yeah? Okay. So go to that moment right now. It could have been a breakup. It could have been just a hard conversation, an awkward conversation. It could have been a big rejection on either part. Just go in your mind, just close your eyes just for 3 seconds here and remember that moment. Okay, and in that moment, did you pull out your relationship manual to page 52 and quickly scan through like how to work through that relationship challenge? You guys do that? Give me some blanks there, sorry. Okay, well, didn't you guys have that relationship class in high school or college that you referred to when it was during that relationship challenge that helped you navigate through that? No? Come on, guys. Hold on, just to check in. How many of you had a relationship class in high school or college that taught you everything you need to know about how to work through relationship challenges? Raise your hand. Oh, right. That's because it wasn't offered, right? Exactly. But hold on. Aren't relationships the most important part of our lives? Mark referred to it yesterday, right? The 75-year Harvard study. Did you guys watch that TED Talk or read about that study? The longest study on human behavior ever done, Harvard, followed a group of men for 75 years and found some incredible things. And one of the biggest things they found was what? That relationships are the most important part of our lives. The quality of your life into old age will be determined by the quality of your closest relationships. You actually live longer. You get sick less often. If you have stressful, bad, toxic relationships, you'll die sooner. You'll have more disease, and you'll get sick more often. You're more likely to have addictions. You're more likely to be alone and feel isolated and depressed. Okay, this study is legit, right? I agree with this study. I think it's amazing, so foundational. So if that's true, then why did you and I not get a class in school about it? I'm going to tell you why. There's actually 2 reasons why. Not so obvious reasons why. Reason number 1 is most people still purchase a giant fairy tale about how relationships work. And it goes like this. You find the one, and you meet the right person, and it all just goes well. You walk off into the sunset, and it's easy. It's done, right? I mean, that's largely the fantasy, and people still buy that big time. So if that were true, you wouldn't need a manual or a class, would you? Because it'd be easy. So that's reason number 1. It's not taught in school. The second reason it's not taught in school is because, hold on. What's that second reason again? Oh. So there's the fantasy here, and there's your reality, right? Which, if you're smart and paying attention, and any of you have been in a relationship longer than 2 or 3 years, you understand it's messy. It gets triggering. You trigger each other. They start acting like your parents. You act like a child. You distance. You blame. Right? You feel terrible. You shame them. You shame yourself. That's the deal, right? In a real relationship. And what happens is people compare themselves then from that place of feeling like, oh, this is really hard, to the fantasy. And they feel what? Shame. You feel bad. Or you do what I did. You compare your partner to the fantasy and you blame. Right? Hey, you're not making me feel good. This is supposed to feel a lot better up here. This is supposed to be easy. What the hell is your problem? So you're blaming yourself or them, comparing yourself to this fantasy, right? That's completely unrealistic. So that's the second reason why this is not taught in school. Think about it this way. Would you want someone teaching you about relationships, intimate relationships, that was doing 1 or 2? Would that be a valuable teacher to you? No. If they were transparent and honest about the struggles, then that might be the case, but no, you wouldn't, right? So that's the reason it's not taught in school. So that day in the car, in the silver Subaru, I took responsibility for my own learning. And Mark just spoke about that. I took full responsibility and decided to do something about all my relationship problems. And 4 incredible things happened to me as a result. The first thing is I met my wife. Right over here. Honey, what's up? Thanks for coming. Oh. This woman changed my life forever. Second, and this was just a few months after the Subaru incident, by the way. We didn't get together for quite a while, but we met. It's really powerful. The second most incredible thing happened to me because I took responsibility that day. We had kids. Incredible kids, 9 and 7. They're out in the anteroom there. And family is everything to me. And one of the greatest accomplishments of my life is being a dad. And this is coming from a guy who said I'd never in a million years get married or have kids. I was like, fuck that. I'm not doing it. You could change. The third most incredible, amazing thing happened because I took responsibility that day. I found my purpose in life. And I'm doing it right now. Teaching about love and relationships. And I founded the relationship school because I got tired of complaining that there was no class in school. So I said, okay, we're going to create one. And we're on a mission to reach 1 million teens and young adults with relationship education, and we're in 4 schools this fall. We're coming for you. And the fourth most amazing, incredible thing that happened because I took responsibility that day, that basically allowed the previous 3. And probably it's the most important one that happened to me. I reclaimed my sensitivity, my emotions, and my empathic side. Huge. And because I did that, I went, well, hold on. Yeah, so I reclaimed my sensitivity, my emotions, and my empathic side. And as I did that, my armor started to fall away. And my heart came online for the first time since I was a little boy. And I went from being an emotionally shut down, unavailable guy to becoming an emotionally available man, husband, father. So that's significant transformation. And I'm not special, I'm not unique. Okay, this is available to anyone in this room if you do 2 things. The very first thing I want you to do is take full responsibility for your relationship problems and your relationship life and go all in on that project. Double down on that area of life, and I guarantee you 100% you'll get the result you want. But you got to go all in and take full responsibility. The second thing I invite you, challenge you, want you to do is to make a choice. If you want to keep rejecting a part of yourself for love, and decide. Because remember, these women These good women that I dated in my 20s, what were they bringing me? Their sensitivity, their emotions, and their empathic side. And what was I doing? I was rejecting it. Why was I rejecting it? Because I was rejecting it in me. So I want you to consider the strong possibility that if you're fearful of being rejected again, chances are you created a dynamic in yourself where you've since got the feedback, oh, I can't bring this part of myself, just like I did. 20 plus years of rejection for me to get to this point, like waking up, right? So if you're afraid of rejection, chances are you're still rejecting a part of yourself, and then it's manifesting outside yourself. Guys, relationship is a path for your own wholeness and transformation and freedom. It's one of the most powerful transformational vehicles I know is partnership with one person. I'm like burning shit to the ground thanks to this woman. It's not easy and it's not comfortable often. And the boons and the fruits of the effort are incredible for me, and I want that for you. Okay, so I want to leave you with my favorite quote from Eminem. I guess I had to go to that place to get to this one.